Hello and welcome to the B attributes course on indicator lights. In this video, we'll be talking about the B attribute on indicator lights. So the indicator lights attribute asks, are the object's turn signal indicator lights activated? And the choices that can be chosen to answer this question are off, left, right, both, and can't tell. And before we go into how to answer, uh, before we go into the selections that can be chosen on the indicator lights attribute, first we're going to go over what indicator lights actually are. So what are turn signal or indicator lights? Turn signal lights slash indicator lights, both are synonymous. Uh, Turn signal lights or indicator lights are the orange lights on the front and back of cars that activate on the right and left sides. So it's front and back and left and right. So that means on the headlights, there are signal lights. There's a signal light on the right side that's the left side. So on the left side of a vehicle and on the right side of a vehicle. And same goes for the back of the vehicle. On the back lights, you can find the right indicator light on the right side and the left indicator light on the left side. And that's just a reference for which side is which. When the vehicles is facing the camera uh, from the driver's perspective, then our left is the driver's or the car's right signal, and from the back perspective, it's the opposite, where from our camera view, if we're looking at the back of the car, our left side is the car's left side. So let's talk about some of the selections that you can make on the indicator lights attribute. The first one that we're going to go over is marking off. So when do you mark off on the indicator lights? Mark off if you see at least one side, front or back, of the indicator lights that is not on. So if any of these lights, right now we're looking at the headlights and the tail lights of two different cars, and whether we see one side that has indicator lights off, or if we only see one side of the car and its indicator lights are off, then we will select off. Even due to occlusion, if we see this car's lights are only see its right side and it's up and it's off, then we'll consider in both of these cases for each car that the turn signal lights are off. So when do we select left or right? So if the car's right signal light is activated, where the orange light is flashing on the front or back, then we'll select left or right depending on which side we see the activated light. So the orange light beneath the headlight on the right side of the car, or that car, that is the turn signal indicator light. And the same on that diagram of the blinking orange light, that is also the turn. So that's the right turn signal, and on the right side, that's the left turn signal. If you see both indicator lights on at the same time, or if you see both in a frame, then please select both on indicator lights. So if in these two examples, if we were looking at frame 15, for example, then on frame 15, and we see both indicator lights on vehicles, then that's when we would select both. So when do we mark can't tell? So we mark can't tell when a car is highly occluded and we can't see the front or back, or due to distance. Essentially, we choose can't tell when we cannot clearly make out the turn signal lights. So turn signal lights have to be set frame by frame. So here in this example, on the left side, let's say that's frame 13. Then on indicator lights, we would choose left. And then on the right side, we don't see any turn signal lights activated, so we would select off. And we would only base our choice on what we see in the camera view. So in the example to the right, this car, we can see the back of this car, and we can see its backlights, and we don't see any lights that are on. So in this choice, we would select off. All right, and so we're looking at the same car with a light that looks like it's activated right beneath the tail light right there. And so that is on its left side, and we would want to select left. Right there. All right, and in this example, we see the orange light on the back side of a car on its right side, and so for indicator lights, we would choose right. And in this example, we see both orange lights on the back of this car, and we would want to select both. In this example right here, we cannot clearly see the orange lights on the car in front of us. We don't know whether they're on or off because we can't even see the back of the vehicle due to occlusion. So in this case, we will put can't tell. So there are some critical errors that can be made when choosing the indicator light status. So here we have the same frame of the same car, and these are all examples of selections that are chosen that are completely the wrong choice. So if we look closer at the vehicle here, we can see the orange light on its activated on its right side. So the top on the top left, the cuboid is orange, and so that reflects the off selection. So that's basically marking. Basically, we marked the car's indicator lights as off on the top, on that top left picture. On the top right picture, we've marked the car's indicator lights as left. On the bottom left image, we've marked the car's indicator lights as both. And on the bottom right, we've marked the car's indicator lights as can't tell. So all these choices are just a completely wrong choice. It's more than obvious that the car's right indicator light is on. And so any other choice besides right is a critical mistake. The correct selection, obviously, based on what we know now about indicator lights, is it should be the right. Right is the best selection in this frame. So you can color the cuboid by the indicator lights attribute. Either click L to cycle through all the cuboid color selections, or you can hit that color palette on right next to the indicator lights attribute. And what that will do is it will color the cuboid and frames by the attribute selections per frame. So in the example here, like you can see the frame selection bar where it's colored orange and green. Wherever it's colored orange, that means the indicator lights attribute is set to off. Wherever it's colored green, the indicator lights attribute is set to right. So the indicator lights attribute is a non-global attribute, and so it must be adjusted per frame. And the cuboid color selection of indicator lights is very, very helpful in this regard to making sure that you've chosen each frame correctly. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and select this vehicle and color the cuboid by the signal light attribute. And looks like it was already annotated, but I'm gonna go ahead and check and make sure that the correct attribute is set on each frame. So it looks like the right signal light turned on for a bit, and it looks like the signal light, the right signal light, matches the right signal attribute correctly on those frames. So far, so good. So it's just going through all the frames just to make sure that I didn't miss any signal lights, or that I may have marked off on a signal light or on the activated right signal light when it was actually on, or vice versa. So just going carefully, just making sure that for the rest of the frames that the signal light attribute should be set to off, because as you can see for the rest of the frames, they're all orange, and orange is off for signal lights. So if all is correct, then the signal light attribute should really reflect what's going on in the camera view, and that no signal lights turn on for the rest of the task. Cool. So far it looks so good. And just making sure to check every single frame